How much money do you need in order to live here in Paraguay? What I want to do in this video is break down 3 different monthly budgets: $1,000 a month, $3,000 a month, and $5,000 plus. Speaking of money, we are here at one of the nicer shopping centers in Asuncion, where you can find a lot of overpriced clothes and nice restaurants. So what I want to do is give you guys an idea as to what type of lifestyle you can live at each one of those, what type of sacrifices you're going to have to make if you're on the lower end, and what type of extra luxuries you can have here if you're on the higher end. So this isn't just going to be a regular cost of living video. I've already done 2 of those on the channel, so check those out afterwards if you're interested. But I'm just going to be speaking from experience and just going over, some lifestyle costs in general that you're going to be dealing with at each one of those budgets. And then at the end, I want you to just use this information to help plan out, okay, how luxurious of a life do you want? How much money do you have to spend? So that way you can have a really strong idea as to what your budget's going to need to be when you're here in Paraguay. Let's dive in. Starting with $1,000 per month, let's break that one down. We have a beautiful, beautiful day here. Beautiful Friday afternoon. So, $1,000 or less. Is it doable? 100%. Let's just start with the obvious question of what type of sacrifices are you going to have to make at $1,000 or less. First is you're not going to be staying in a popular area of Asuncion, or at the very least, you're not going to be doing so on your own. Maybe you could get away with renting with roommates in like a spot that's pretty economical to begin with. Because your monthly rent, like let's just assume you sign a lease in your hustle and bustle areas of Asuncion. Watch my neighborhood guide after this to find out what those areas are. You're looking at low end, let's just say for a 1-bedroom, low end $400 to $500 per month. High end $1,000, $1,200, maybe even as high as $1,500 per month for something really nice. So let's just say you're on that low end. Let's just say you can get something for $400. That's 40% of your budget right there. Now, for the other 60%, if you're eating, and keep in mind that these estimates, this whole video is going to be based on the low dollar right now, because right now the dollar is down at around 6,000. It's fluctuating between 6,000 to 6,100 guaranis per dollar, and I don't think it's going to get much lower. I think it's only going to get higher. If it stays this low for much longer, it's going to have a significant impact on foreign investment, and they're not going to let that happen. But that's a whole other topic. So I think that this will be the bottom of it. Hopefully, I hope I'm right. If I'm not, then oh well. But you watching this video might be watching at a time where the dollar is even stronger, in which case everything I'm saying to you, you can round it up a little bit and you actually do have a little bit more room to play with. But yeah, let's just say you're renting for $400. Now keep in mind, my rent is currently $400, but I'm renting in an area a little bit outside of like the peak bubble, the gringo bubble of Asuncion, and I am getting a pretty solid deal. But even then, you can watch my cost of living videos. With my lifestyle, I just couldn't be under $1,000. But let's just say you are cooking all of your meals at home. You're not eating a ton of red meat. Because red meat here, though, from an international perspective, very affordable. It still is more expensive. Like if you're just eating like chicken and rice, essentially, or just some really simple foods, you're doing your grocery shopping at grocery stores that are a little bit more economical, like Stock Express, Fortis, or maybe you're going to like the markets, like the Mercado Cuatro, for example, to get your groceries, which you can definitely do. Then yeah, it's doable. It's doable. It's going to be tight. Nights out, going out drinking, partying, no way. That's going to be tough living in that area. And Ubering around, you're going to have to keep that tight as well. I spend around $200 to $250 a month on Uber. And I'd say I Uber on average, call it 2 trips. Let's just say 3 Ubers per day on average. Some days I might just have 1 trip back and forth. Some days I'll have 2 trips back and forth, so that's 4. Sometimes I'll have more, sometimes I'll have 0. But let's just say on average about 3 Ubers or Bolts. Honestly, I use Bolt more than Uber. 3 Bolts per day. And right there is an extra $250 for me. Call it $200 if you round down. So then, yeah, with rent, you're already at $600. You only have $400 left for food and, any medical expenses if you have any. If you're young and healthy, or if you don't have much reason to go to the doctor often, that's going to be pretty low. Gym membership if you want one. Dating, forget about it. At that budget in a nice part of Asuncion. So yeah. Doable but tough in a nice area. Now, if you go out of the nice part of Asuncion, the bubble, then it becomes a lot more doable. You can rent something for like closer to $250 a month. That would be in Warrenese about $1.5 million, 1.5 million. You can definitely rent places for 1.5 million. And then boom, now your rent's only a quarter of your expenses. Everything around you is going to be cheaper. Your food cost is going to be lower. Random, events and socializing and stuff like that is going to be more affordable. So yeah, let's just say you are living in San Lorenzo, Luque, Mariano Roca Alonso, Lambaré, even in el centro, maybe you can find a decent spot. Is my mic okay? Hello? I think so. So yeah, it's $1,000 per month. I'll put it this way. In the bubble, in the nice areas where there's a bunch of foreigners, tight. In the areas where there's not that many foreigners, doable. Definitely doable, especially for somebody who's not crazy social. I'm someone who is extremely social. So that's part of the reason why, my budget outside of rent is a little bit higher, because I'm going to dinners. I really don't drink alcohol, so I don't spend on drinks. But I'm going to dinners. I'm going to Uber. I'm calling Ubers. I host parties. I'm going to events. Just hanging out with friends. By the way, if you want to get plugged in here socially, reach out to me or book a consultation, link in description down below. I'll help you find some really awesome friends and help you plan out your budget. I can definitely, we can sit down for an hour and just go like line item by line item and get an exact idea for where you should live, what type of place you can rent. I can help you find a good spot, where you should buy your groceries, what gym you should go to, how, I can show you some little tips and hacks to save extra money. So yeah, link in description. But what type of person do I think should come here on $1,000 or less? Somebody who just wants a chill, tranquil lifestyle, who doesn't care to have, quote unquote luxury stuff. Like if you're just a simple person who doesn't mind being in an area where you're surrounded by a bunch of locals, right? Maybe you might like that, right? You want to get really immersed into the culture. You either speak Spanish or you are open to learning Spanish, which you would definitely want to do in those areas. I mean, you want to do that all over Asuncion, to be honest. But it helps even more if you're in areas that are a little bit further from other foreigners. And yeah, I mean, maybe you are retired, or maybe you work online, or you kind of live off of your investments. And yeah, you just want a chill, just day-to-day life where, yeah, I mean, you're going out on your walks, you're eating your healthy food, you're making some local friends. Maybe you're focusing on a project that you're doing online, and you just want to like lock yourself in your apartment all day, rent somewhere cheap. Your Wi-Fi bill will be like $15-20 for something fast enough, and you can do it. However, I think the average foreigner isn't going to want to restrict themselves to this budget. All right, so next we'll dive into our $3,000 per month budget. Now, honestly, I think to give you guys the most value, I want to talk more so, not just about spending exactly $3K, but more so about the differences between $1,000 and $3,000, because I think a lot of you guys are going to be falling in this range. Basically, to sum up this budget, it is living what you were probably used to as a middle class income in a Western country at a much lower price. Like this is like your 5,000 to 8,000 per month, lifestyle in a major city in, say, the United States or Western Europe or Canada, something like that. So basically, you can rent your nice 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in the bubble if you want, right? And I just use the bubble as like our benchmark for, higher end rental prices. But yeah, let's just say on the low end around 650, just to be conservative, maybe 600 US, up to around 1,000 to 1,500. But I think north of 1,000, now we're starting to lean into our 5K a month budget. And at that point, you're probably not renting a 1-bed, but I'll get into that. So let's just say your rent is around $850, which I think is pretty achievable, super achievable actually. $850, you furnish it yourself. So yeah, maybe you drop $1,000 on furniture, maybe $500. If you can get, some stuff secondhand, or if you can just get a little bit more creative on good spots to get it. And you can Bolt and Uber around without worrying about it too much. That's basically what I do. And I'm in this range, if you guys look at my cost of living videos, I fall within, in between 1,000 and 3,000 on both of them. And I'm in this range, right? And I already explained it. I bolt around. I don't sweat it too much. And I'm a little bit further from the Ringo bubble, so I might bolt a little bit more than some of you guys who are in areas that are a bit more walkable. Your food, basically, if you eat in, you can eat in whatever you want. Up to 3K a month, you can eat in whatever you want. Buy all your nice steaks. You can buy, just like, nice, organic fruits and vegetables. And then, beyond that, usually the protein is the most expensive part. Beyond that, everything's pretty affordable, right? Your carbs, your side dishes. And here you have more money to just spend on just like random stuff, right? Like you can get, at this point, you can order stuff off of Amazon. If you ever need something on Amazon, like a random little electronic device, or just like a random home goods thing for your apartment. If you want to know how to order stuff on Amazon, I can recommend you some package forwarders that do a really good job to get your packages down here. Link in description. And yeah, you can just buy little random toys essentially without stressing about it too much. You can spend more on your health. So a lot of you might be wanting to come down here and you might want to maybe get some dental work done at a much, much lower cost than in Western countries. For example, I need to get my wisdom teeth pulled out. I need to do that soon. And I can do that and, spend probably I'm just going to guess, maybe $500 to get them all pulled. That's just a guess. I don't exactly know. But that same treatment in the US is like $3,000. Now I might be over. It might be more like $200. Who knows? But yeah, I know friends who have gotten, cavities filled for $50, $100. You can get your teeth whitened here for pretty cheap. You can go to the dermatologist and get just some work done on your skin, look a little bit more young, more youthful. You can get a membership at a local spa. And you can just take care of yourself a little bit better. You can hire a personal trainer. That is one thing that I did when I first got here. Not doing it at the moment, but I might do it again soon. I was paying him around 100 US per month to be my trainer, and we would train twice a week. So yeah, it's like, let's just say you have your $850 a month apartment. Your grocery bills probably around $300, $400, just to be conservative. And then you can go out and eat out on the weekends. You can have some fun on the weekends. You can go to events, you can date. You can definitely date successfully and be under 3K a month. So this is like where I'd recommend most of you guys to sit. Plan to spend really between 2 and 3K per month. Like just to be conservative. You can probably be lower than 2K, which I've managed to start doing pretty consistently, but plan to be between 2 and 3K per month. And yeah, you can have your nice things without being super overboard. Now, next 5K, or really, 3 to 5K, 3K plus, all the way up to 5. At this point, you're living in somewhere really nice. At this point, you're talking renting, like a penthouse unit or like a 2 or 3 bed in a nice new building in a prime part of town. Speaking of, we've got some going up here. I'm sure some of these will, some of these higher units, higher floor units will go for those kind of prices. This is where you're renting, $1,500 to $2,500 per month in rent. So let's just say 2K. With 2K a month, you can get something nice. Nice 2-bed, nice 3-bed, penthouse, maybe. Penthouse, maybe more like 2,500. Let's just say like a damn nice 2-bedroom apartment where you've got like your nice office, nice amenities, peak location, and you don't have to cook. That's really the big difference. With the, under 3K budget, you should still cook. Now, I just think people should cook anyways because that's the easiest way to eat healthy, and your body will thank you if you actually cook. But at this point, if you've got 5K to play with, you don't need to cook. You really don't need to cook at all. And you can eat at the nicest cafes and the nicest steakhouses and the nicest restaurants for every single meal. And you'll still fall within that budget. Now, actually, maybe not every single, if you're eating at a steakhouse literally every single night, who knows? Maybe you'll be north of 5K. But you have to try, you have to really try to get above that range. And you got to be ordering drinks, and bottles of wine, and dating, being on a date with a different girl every night. Okay, maybe you'll get above 5K, but for the most part, you don't really have to stress about it. Here is where you can really start to look into like hiring people to make your life a lot better. This is where you can have a personal trainer that trains with you every single day. This is where you can have a live-in maid. Another thing, you can rent a house. You can rent a nice house. I tend not to talk too much about houses in these videos, but you could rent like a nice house in Via More, for example, for around, $1,500 a month. And yeah, you can have like a maid who's there every single day, cleaning your stuff and taking care of everything. At this point, you can definitely squeeze in a car payment if you want to buy a car. Although, if you're a foreigner, you're most likely going to have to buy it cash. But yeah, you can budget that kind of thing if you have that kind of money. And yeah, basically domestic employees and helpers and assistants and that sort of thing, you can start to have more money for that. What else? Expensive hobbies, boating, golfing. There's not too many options for that, but you can get into it. You can buy nice clothes. Like here at the major shopping malls, like the nice ones, it's pretty similar to the price in the US. Like if you're gonna buy like a nice, just like a nice like black fitted tee, right? It's like nice cotton, that looks good, makes your muscles look good. That thing will be $30-$40, maybe 50 or 60 at some stores, right? So if you're just shopping, buying clothes like that often, a nice pair of sneakers, $100, $200, nice pair of leather shoes, $200 to $500, a whole suit, call it $1,000 for a nice suit, that you get fitted, that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't think too many of you guys watching will be around this range, but this is what this range serves to be. Now, another thing to consider here is having a family, right? If you want to have a family, then your budget is certainly going to go up. Now, of course, you might be able to put more people under one roof, so maybe your rent doesn't necessarily go up proportionally. But just keep that in mind. Like I'm giving you all of these estimates kind of based off of like a single person, a single expat, but multiply the grocery bill up a little bit, multiply the eating out bill a little bit. If you're going to have a family or if you're going to come here with a family. But you might be coming on dual incomes as well, which makes that burden easier. So yeah, I hope this video was useful. Yeah, just like a lot of my content, I was kind of rambling all over the place, but some of you guys tend to get value out of my all over the place rambling sometimes. So yeah, let me know if drop a comment if there's anything specific that you think I didn't cover, like a specific type of expense or type of activity that you might be curious on when it comes to how much it costs. Or if you have a very specific budget in mind, or maybe a specific part of town that you want to live in and you want to get an idea. Reach out to me on Instagram at EstebanExpat. That's a great way to get in touch with me personally. TheDensityExpat.com/talk. Link in the description down below. And we can hop on a call and I can put you onto all the sauce and give you an actual game plan roadmap to planning out your finances here in Paraguay. And stay tuned for the next video. That's it. See you soon.